Hi, I'm out here in Denver, Colorado. I came from a small town in Minnesota. This is really great. I've never been outside of Minnesota more than a few miles. It's really beautiful out here. And the people, it's great. All these thousands of kids gathered here together for the same reason, to proclaim him Lord of all. It's really super.
At the wonder of the universe, look around at the miracle of now. When we try to understand just what it is that God has done, it's by faith alone we see the possibility.
Everything's been really interesting and unique, but the most important thing I found was that everybody is so friendly and kind and loving and caring, and they're not afraid to express their feelings about God, express their faith. And what's really interesting is that it's teenagers. Some teenagers won't express their feelings about God, and there's different kinds. Everybody's coming together as one, sharing, caring, crying, laughing, just having a good time, and witnessing and expressing their faith as in the family of God.
God has done. It's by faith alone we see the possibilities. Here we go. Proclaim him Lord of all. Proclaim him Lord of all. Proclaim him Lord of all. Christ is the Lord of all.
Stand up now, Lutherans. Let's do it.
Out hanging in a jazz band, it was really neat because when we get there in the mornings, he'd like start singing and he'd get everybody happy and started in a good mood and everything.
To improve me, all I get are scabby knees, falling flat and starting over seems to be the trend I see. Then I remember what you say is the key, that I can only love because you first loved me. I'm needing to lean more on your love, on your love, your love, your love. I'm needing to lean more on your love.
Salmon and Mulder have so much excitement by themselves that they kind of push it off on everybody else.
Yeah, the three people that lead the songs, they really keep you interested and have the funny songs like when you mess up her hair.
I've noticed that nobody washed their hair this morning. Oh, gross! Love another head next to you. Love another head and sing this song. Love another head next to you. Love another head and sing this song. La 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 la.
Worshiping with 17,000 kids is really fun. You really learn a lot out of it. Never done that before.
And I thought going to worship every morning was different because I'm always used to going to church on Sundays. I can feel the spirit now.
I think it's really great that all these kids can come to Denver and really get a great experience with Christ. I think it's really great. I know there's a lot of kids here that this is maybe their first time they have come to know God and Christ, and I just think it's really great that 17,000 of us can get together and just have this mountaintop experience together.
I really enjoy the general sessions every morning and seeing all the kids together, seeing that amount of people all worshiping and singing together and interacting, talking about God, and that it's quite moving.
We were part of the opening worship yesterday, and we were the dancers, and to us it was neat to be able to dance in front of so many people and to be able to worship God in that way.
I loved Kim's sermon. I thought it was great that a young person had the chance to speak to all of us. We keep telling the church that we've got something to say, and Kim said it last night. It was a wonderful. She put the youth's ideas and dreams into words.
Our generation has sometimes been labeled as a material generation. Are we really more caught up on money and material things than anything else? Are we really more worried about the latest album that has been released than what's going on around us? Do we really care more about our Levi 501s, Guess jeans and Ralph Lauren, than the people who can afford it and never will? Is our generation really hung up more on casual sex than love? Were we really more concerned about who was going to perform and be reunited on Live Aid than why they were doing it and where the money was going to? Do we really care what's going on in Latin America, South Africa, and inner city USA? Or are we just leaving it to others? Do we know what our elected officials are doing? Or are we just apathetic about politics? Some have even gone so far as to say because of all this materialism, young people are dropping away from the church. I would like to think that our generation is not that cold, that we do have compassion and feelings, that we care about our brothers and sisters next door and around the world.
We just spent some time at the Habitat, and we learned a lot of things about the problems they're having overseas, and we danced with an Indian, and there's a lot of things to do here, like playing basketball and lifting weights, and volleyball. Played some volleyball.
I've been working in the Habitat area, and my favorite thing is working on ID cards.
I enjoyed the Habitat and a certain area in there called apartheid. It was interesting because they were talking about Namibia and South Africa and Central Africa and the problems that are going on over there.
I was just able to run the cameras for this show that they're putting on right now, and we were able to use the cameras and use the focus and learn how to do it, and this worked for the show.
The convention is so fantastic, and ultimately everybody's here for one purpose, to proclaim him Lord of all.
The Luther League Convention is a constituted convention that occurs the 3 afternoons of the gathering here. It is hosted by the Board of Luther League. One of the special events that occurs at the convention this year, which makes it very special, is the 90th anniversary celebration of the Luther League. We're recognizing past executive directors as well as former ALC Luther League presidents.
I just want to talk about the workshops and stuff. They're really neat. My favorite one was the clown ministry. It kind of opened my eyes as far as, you know, what it means to be a clown minister. And it's just neat to get a new perspective on different things about Christianity.
Well, I really liked the El Salvador presentation because I learned a lot about the country and the problems it has. And I learned that working for an entire day, they earn $3 for the whole day, and I earn $2 an hour babysitting, and I'll never complain about my wages again.
Today we attended a forum on child abuse and incest.
Yes, and our speaker was very concerned about the problem that we have with it in this country, and he made us more aware of it. We talked about the widespread problem that it is, and we realized really how lucky we are.
And that it's happening all over the world, not in just a certain area.
I went on a Denver encounter to Central City, and we walked around in town, and just really exciting. And there's a lot of stuff you can see out there. Everyone's really nice out there, and I think it was worth the while. It was a really nice trip.
I'm staying at the Radisson Hotel. There's lots of hotel life going on. There's people just like walk down the halls, and you meet people, go up to them and say, "Hi, I'm Heidi Wolf from First Falls, Minnesota." And they have dances every night.
I'm staying at the Brown Palace, and it's like you meet new people walking through the halls.
In my hotel, there's games you can play, and you can win little stuffed animals. And a lot of people have been winning a lot of them. And places to eat, a lot of places to eat. I've been stuffing myself.
Our Bible studies in the hotel rooms have a lot to do with like the theme of the convention and how everything's run. And in my opinion, the Bible studies are good for everybody because everybody opens up and learns more about other people.
On the bus rides that we take from our hotels over to the over to McNichols Arena, you get to meet a lot of new people that way, and you can talk to people from different parts of the country and see what their homes are like. And today I was just talking to this girl from Los Angeles, and she was telling me what it was like over there, and so it was kind of nice meeting her.
Yeah. It's also pretty fun when you wait for the buses. Our group especially is just kind of.
We sing and
we
dance
sing and run around just looking for our bus.
Yeah.
Yelling a lot. And
yeah, we have a good time.
Make noise.
Well, is it possible to shine labels, or do they stick? If you've been labeled falsely, libelously labeled, do you have to wear that label forever? Is it tattooed across your body? Or can that label be changed? You know, when you've received a label of ugliness, or you've given yourself a label, and it may be even fit for a while, a very demeaning label, you wonder if you have to wear it for the rest of your life like some kind of a scar. I want to tell you something. There is one who takes great delight in having you libelously labeled, wants you to run yourself down, and wants you to wear all the abuse that other people have for you, gives you a name as though you're unimportant, that you're dirt. This one just celebrates the fact of libelously labeling other people and you libelously labeling yourself, and I'm talking about the evil one. But God has exposed his lie, and he has said through his prophet to the children of Israel, who were captive in bondage, I have called you by name. You are mine. You are precious in my sight and honored. And I love you. When you were baptized, God gave you a new name, and it's a name that you are to wear throughout your life. And I have a little friend I want you to meet this morning, and her name is Jamie, and she's 8 weeks old. God did wonderful things for Jamie. He took her to the water as he brought you to the water, and he said, you are mine. I have called you by name. You are precious in my sight. You are honored, and I love you.
I especially liked the Bible study on labels during the convention. It showed you a lot about how other people feel when you put them down and then when you bring them up with other labels.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
I found Jimmy Carter's address to be interesting because I thought he spoke to a lot of good issues that were good for a Christian gathering, and especially a Lutheran church gathering, especially for this time of this generation.
We should seek wisdom through every possible avenue. We should make sure that our wisdom is derived from God. And as young, excited, dedicated Lutherans, you have an insight into the words of truth. We must trust ourselves, not put self-imposed limits on our lives, because no one can really limit your life except yourself. We can acknowledge the Lordship of Jesus, not in a transient Sunday morning way, but in a repetitious, ultimately perhaps even a continuing way. And we can also never be fearful to reach for greatness, measured by a perfect standard of the life of Christ, the Lord of us all.
Friday morning we went to Menikmas, and one of the main speakers was Ann Catton. She talked on the farm situation on soil and wind erosion, and it's a topic which everyone is concerned about today.
We should wrap all of you in a gigantic red ribbon this morning, for there is hope and joy in what we are as God's caring community. There is hope and joy in the fact that we are God's hands and God's voices. There is hope and joy that the Lord of creation is still in charge. And he says, "Lo, I am with you." Being and living with that promise is our hope. We have a grandson now on that farm. He is the 5th generation to be there. And when little James Robert came home from the hospital, Grandma and Grandpa went in the front yard and we planted a tree. I don't know how many birthdays he will be there to hold up his tree or to climb in those branches. That decision is up to you and me, and how we care for God's gift of creation, and how we care for those who live and struggle on that land. Land is an arena for justice and freedom, and for the sake of your generation and generations to come, you must get into the arena.
The Jubilee Festival last night was just unreal. They had like a play on the inside on all the soil that we had brought. We brought a bag of dirt and we put it all together with all the other people's. So
I thought the neatest part was when they got all the bright colors out before communion and everybody was singing together, because it just seemed like everybody was one big family.
Everyone's grown so close. You're from around the world, but you feel like one, because a lot of your feelings are the same as a lot of other people.
The play at the festival was the 10th day of creation, and it was how God created it, and then we messed it up.
Last night we had the Jubilee deal, the party. It was great. We had new games where it was no competition between anyone. It was just, have fun, have a good time. There's lots of food. Then bands were great. Had a real good time there. It was real nice.
I like the Japanese girl, the way she talked in her speech, how that her parents weren't Christians, but she became a Christian, and I don't know, I really liked her speech saying.
The message we would like to share with you is, please try to think about what happened in the world. Not only what you read in the newspaper or see on TV, but also think about the world through us. Your friends from many nations, your sisters and brothers in Christ.
it was interesting the way Pastor Faswana spoke, because he was speaking of how the people here and how the people in Africa enjoy the people here, but the people here sometimes they just don't enjoy minorities in general.
As I said earlier, the devil has prisons and the devil has torturers. I was so privileged in 1982 when I met the devil incarnate under the law officials, the police. When I, as I said, was subjected under electric shocks, there came a time in human history and human life that one can be driven to the limits of Christian faith. And I reached that limit. I wanted God to do my will, and God said no. And I was not ready to accept a no for an answer. That's the time when one day I said to God, I've had enough of eating this rotten food. I've had enough of drinking water from the toilet chamber. What I want, dear Lord, is to die. And I said to this God, because you seem not to answer prayers, today I'm giving you a last chance. That chance is, if you do exist, dear Lord, allow me to experience the pain of Jesus Christ, which Jesus experienced on the cross of Calvary. That's when I stood up, stretched both my arms against the prison wall. Believe me, I felt a heavy pain. I fell down and confessed my sin of unbelief. Then I said, God, forgive me. I know that you exist. I know that you are alive. I know that you are here, but I am a human being. What I experienced under electric shocks is, humanly speaking, unbearable. At those moments, then Jesus Christ opened my eyes. I saw Jesus standing in front of me. Jesus showed me his own scars on his feet, which were as dark as this one of mine today, but mine, 25 scars all over my body, were still fresh and literally bleeding. Then I said, my God, if you and I are both accused as communists, who am I to complain? I said, I will continue preaching your gospel. I will continue announcing that through your death and resurrection, the wall of partition has indeed been destroyed. But I said it is tough and hard. At that moment, a verse from Matthew 28, verses 16 through 20 came into my mind. When God said, go ye into the world and make all disciples of all nations. Behold, I'll be with you up to the end of this age. Proclaiming him Lord of all nations means being a willing horse for God to ride on while bringing salvation, justice, and love in this world. That is embraced by the Hebrew concept of shalom. May the good Lord bless you as we march towards the future, which is the God's future. Amen.
I thought it was really neat to see the mixture of people and the international interest.
It was also interesting to have a speaker from another nation too, which was at American Youth Gathering. It's nice to have the international people to give you a feeling of having the whole world together.
The Parade of Nations Saturday night was really great, nice and colorful.
Saturday night, Dr. Price spoke to us, and I really got a lot out of that speech. It's not often that a person, can see the president of the ALC.
You're instruments, not gods. You can do what you can do in your local community, in this nation as a citizen, working for justice. Yes, leaning on your Congress people, being willing to take office yourself, not waiting for somebody to give you $1 million so you can be free to do something, but every day offering yourself as a public servant as well as a private one in your home, in your family, in your local community, in your work. carrying the towel and the basin. That's what you're for. Foot washers, servants. It's God that's made you that way and made you to find your fullness, your fulfillment, your goodness, your life together. Not isolated people doing that easy thing of building walls of hostility, striking back when somebody hurts you, ignoring somebody when they ignore you. No, somehow reaching outside those boundaries, knocking down the walls, going around them, crawling over them, digging under them, and reaching out and saying, friend, brother, sister, member of the family, together with me.
I think the high point of it, for me here in the Mile High City was the Sunday morning, service. Everyone, 17,000 kids having communion together. It was great. I feel like I'm part of the Mile High City, up a mile high, just above the earth. It's great. It left me speechless.
Young Christian friends, we've come to the beautiful Rocky Mountains this week to proclaim Him Lord of all. And we've heard an outstanding group of witnesses share their proclamation songs this week. We heard Kim Schuster in our opening worship proclaim Him Lord of all. We heard President Jimmy Carter proclaim Him Lord of my life. We heard Commissioner Ann Canton proclaim Him Lord of all creation, and we heard our brother Pastor Paswana proclaim Him Lord of all nations. And last night we heard our presiding Bishop David Preuss proclaim Him the Lord of peacemakers, whose tool are a basin and a towel. Yes, dear friends, we have been surrounded by a cloud of witnesses singing their proclamation songs, and now we have come to the time for you to sing your proclamation song as you return and move out from the mountains.
And the wonder of the universe. Look around. The miracle of now, when we try to understand just what it is that God has planned. It's by hope alone we see the possibility. Proclaim Him Lord of all, proclaim Him Lord of all, proclaim Him Lord of all. Christ is the Lord of all. Look around at the pain that people suffer. Look around what we're doing to our world when we try to understand just what it is that God has done. It's by faith alone we see the possibility. Look around.